Samyak vijnanavan yogi svatmanyeva kilang jagat ekang cha sarvamatmanam ikshate jnana chakshusha. Samyak, very well. Vijnanavan, a man of realization. Yogi, the yogin. Svatmanyeva, in his own self. Akilang, entire. Jagat, universe. Ekang, one. Cha, and. Sarva, everything. Atmanang, his own self. Ikshate, sees. Jnana chakshusha, through his eye of wisdom. The yogi endowed with complete enlightenment sees the entire universe in his own self through the eye of knowledge and regards everything as the self and nothing else. Namaste. So the supreme yogi is one who is self-realized. Samyak vijnanavan yogi. He is completely realized. How? Through the intelligence, through the knowledge. Vijnan, the realized knowledge, and the vidya, the verbal knowledge. Both kinds of knowledge are required to reach full realization. The vidya gives you the map, the basic plan, how everything operates, how everything is based on consciousness, how the world is the three gunas, and so on. But then, the experience of enlightenment is what really makes a realized soul. Anybody can study books and put together a verbal picture, a model of the universe, and so on. But only a yogi, only one who sits down and links with the Supreme, linking the individual consciousness with the Supreme consciousness, can actually see all these things. Now, yeah, I've read my share of books, for example, but I see these things directly. This is how I can sit down and do a video every morning and not have to refer to any notes except maybe the text itself. I'm just describing my experience. My experience is that the self is everything, and that the universe is seen within the self. Myself, yourself, the self of the little birdies on the trees out there. The self, the consciousness within every living entity, is identical and displays the same symptoms of waking, sleep, deep sleep, etc. So there is no speculation involved. It's not a mental process, except in the beginning. Yeah, the setup is actually intellectual process, not mental, because it uses the intelligence. It relies on the intelligence. It requires the intelligence. And one must have a really sharp intelligence in order to understand it, because he has to go against the conditioning, the upadhis that tell him the opposite. That, oh yes, this body is yourself, and these other beings are separate individuals, and so on. You have to be able to hold a worldview that is in opposition with the common or ordinary consciousness long enough to realize it in practice. In other words, to change the conditioning of the mind, the mental part, by the action of intelligence. And finally, the practice seals it. because you get to experience all this in real time by direct observation. So he sees the universe in his self by the eye of knowledge with a capital K. What does that mean? Realized knowledge. Samyak vijnana. That's complete realization. Vijnana, practical. A real experience, not just imagination or speculation. It's not just philosophy at that stage. It's direct experience. And regards everything as the self. I'll never forget one time, I'm not boasting, I'm just trying to tell you the kind of experience this is. I remember one day I walked out of my place, I was up on the roof actually, of my place in Tiruvannamalai. And I could see, spread out the mountain, the town, the temples, everything, because it was on a hill. I had a wonderful view of the whole scene. And it just came to me unbidden that I am all this. One aspect is that the so-called individual self could not survive for a minute without all the other stuff. You need air, you need water, you need food, you need ground to walk on. You need space, you need all the elements. You need other people because they create a network to support this body. So without all that other stuff, this body is not survivable. It's not sustainable. So yes, I can only exist because of all this other stuff that exists, all these other people, all this whole network of support that we've built. I could not get through a day even without electricity. What would I do? How would I make my videos? And so on. So the wise one, the yogi, the vijnanavan yogi, sees all this within his self. That my self is bigger than just this body, way bigger. Ultimately, the whole universe is myself. And even more than that, Brahman is myself. Because how else could this body exist without all this prior stuff? Brahman, consciousness, will, intention, desire, the universe, all the elements, all the other people and what they do, that all make this body possible. So even if I think I'm this body, the existence of my body extends way beyond the boundaries of my skin. And actually, when we look at this all through consciousness, we see that everything is interconnected. There are really no boundaries. The self is everything, and everything exists within the self and depending on the self. So the self is the prime existence that makes everything else possible. So everything is the self. What else could it be? A bunch of randomly vibrating molecules spread out through space with their chance interactions leading to evolution. What a ridiculous idea. Because it's not robust enough to explain the continued existence of the world the way it is. If I have a box full of computer parts and I take it and I shake the box, am I going to get a functioning computer out of that? Not in a million years. So the arguments of the scientists are all wrong. And they're actually archly constructed arguments simply to explain their position that there is no God. There is no intelligence behind the universe. That's their dumb idea. And then they've gone through all of this, so much work trying to justify it and ruining the world in the process. These chemical and technological production that has made the world such a weird place now is all based on environmental pollution and degradation, the rape of the earth and of the poor is what makes it possible to have all this technology. It's not sustainable, and it won't sustain, you'll see. It will lead to a breakdown of society. It's already happening. So drop all that stuff. Negate it. Neti. And take up this beautiful knowledge of the self, which actually shows you how everything works and how it is the key to the end of suffering.
Tat Sat, Om Shakti Om.